will these teams make? We'll talk more about the playoff prospects as we get into game. But one thing I want to highlight with regards to the AD carry matchup is Tabzz, statistically, has been one of the worst at CSing all split long. Traditionally down 9 CS at 10 minutes and 15 at 20. We'll see if Moopz will be able to get a little bit of freedom in that lane. The Fizz is removed from Cabochard, as you mentioned, as is Nidalee from Diamond, TF and Rise from Elements.
And this Nidalee is such a key ban because Diamond is very good at getting this pressure towards the top lane for Cabochard, and Nidalee is one of the greatest early junglers at applying that pressure here. Her dual potential is insane with the Runeglaive buffs, so it's a very smart and needed ban for Elements. The first two bans are straight towards what was going to be a 2v2 in top lane between Cabo Diamond and, of course, Jwaow and Dexter. Rek'Sai is still open if he wants that one on the side of Elements here to shut down some of that early pressure, but also Rumble is there, which has been such a key pick in this meta. Whenever he's not banned, we often see him taking first rotation.
And of course, with a different AD carry, maybe Moopz plays Kalista. Forgiven didn't, and it wasn't something we saw out of him. Moopz, of course, is playing support at the moment in solo queue as his main. I'm led to believe he also plays Annie mid. It's irrelevant to say now, but it is a fact. And of course, with that Sivir locked in for Tabzz, the team utility is there. So even if Tabzz falls behind in lane, he will bring power to team fights in mid game later. Here's the Varus to deny that from Froggen.
Yeah, I think the Varus pick is needed, even though you don't always want to show it in the first rotation. You don't want to give people a chance to build comms around it. He's very safe in lane. He can farm against almost everything because these assassins are not in the meta. So I feel like Gambit had to take it away, seeing as they didn't ban it. But obviously giving away Sivir is just such a problem in Europe. I mean, we value that champion so high. Didn't even talk about it because you're expecting it to be banned. And also Elements will be able to take that Rumble pick we mentioned if they want to keep going for what is considered right now some of the strongest picks in the European meta. Rek'Sai, we mentioned that one as well for the early game. Here's the Rumble. Elements can be very happy with the first few picks.
Not too bad. Jwaw's Rumble stats, 1-1, 76% kill participation. He'll get his hands on the champion for the third time in summer, and we'll see what work he can do. Gambit, where do they respond? We know that Varus is most likely middle. Safe pick, Corki, something that Forgiven's played an exceptional amount of.
And I think this is smart for Moopz. Give him a safe AD carry, an AD carry where he relies on poke as well. Gotta be able to use skill shots as a former mid laner for himself. This should be a pick that fits him. Also, these poke compositions, as long as you know how to use your power spikes in the mid games and you can ward properly on the flanks, you can play around that fairly effectively, even without, you know, a star AD carry. So I like the pick and ban phase in that case for Gambit. Gragas, not really able to match the Rek'Sai early game, but we're talking small changes here for them. Overall, both teams getting very strong compositions.
So a lot of very powerful meta picks, as you mentioned, Deficio. And for Gambit, despite a different player, putting a champion that fulfills the same role. We'll see what carry Cabochard decides to lock in once Elements have rounded out their team composition. What are we anticipating from Cabo? He's most played as Hecarim. He's played Shen quite a lot recently as well.
I mean, he could...
Even his Yasuo was terrifying. I believe that was comboed with Gragas, if memory serves correctly.
It was. There are different carry picks for him. Question is, does he want a bit of magic damage now that he'll have the Varus in the mid lane? Don't think necessarily it's 100% needed. Because again, they're aiming to have this massive mid-game power spike with the poke. Shen obviously being banned away from him, as we saw him play last week. Very, very strong pick for him. So I mean, looking at the side of Elements, I love this pick here for them in the mid lane as well. The long-range poke is great to try and even it out with the Varus. And then you're trying to match the power spike in that sense. Obviously for Elements, also the wave clear is going to be needed when we see Gambit start grouping with Corki with Varus. And overall, I mean, great composition from Elements.
And this is, of course, a champion that Froggen has played before. Only one game. It was a very convincing victory. He ended up going 5-1-6.
No.
I'm not believing it.
Yeah.
That looks a little better. So it is a magic damage top laner, and it is something that Cabochard has also run before in the past. If memory serves, in Spring Split, there was a highlight reel of how well he was playing on this Kennen. Riv lost his mind when we saw it in NA LCS last week too.
It has been a strong pick for Cabochard in the past, and it adds some of the magic damage for Gambit. It gives him...
Oh, now you're going to tell me why you don't like it.
A fairly strong... No. Because the thing is, Kennen's problem was
I knew you were...
No. Kennen's problem before was that like Janna was here and we've been like, oh, you're gonna ult my team? No, I'm just gonna ult you and shoot you away, and you did nothing in the team fight. Elements doesn't have any hard disengage on their side. They can try and run away with the Sivir ulti. That's about it when it comes to disengaging from a Kennen who's gonna TP in, so I quite like it in that case. Also because it will give a fairly strong, at least at level 6 for Gambit, if they want to try and 2v2 top lane and snowball him. Also, Rylai's, great item at the moment. Liandry's been buffed, so you can go haunting guys into sorcerer boots, get the early magic penetration, then get the Liandry's later. I think there's a lot of things to like about Kennen in the current meta. As long as Janna is not being picked, I think it's fine.
I totally misread that. I really thought the disappointed Deficio was about to start dishing out the damage for Kennen, but he did not. Instead, a lot of praise, assuming Cabo can get to the backline. Hashtag EL win or hashtag GMB win. Will Gambit with a substitute keep their playoff hopes alive, or will Elements put the first brick in the foundations of building their playoff dreams? This is the first European Kennen of the split. There's none other than Cabochard.
Well, of course, Cabochard been playing, or trying to play as many carries as possible in the top lane for himself. We're gonna have this fun mid-game though, where Froggen is standing on one side, trying to spit a Gambit and just like shoot over a Gambit and land a poke. Then on the other side, you have Moopz and you have Betsy trying to do exactly the same. So there's going to be quite a poke war being built up. Great wave clear from both mid laners. And then it's more about how can teams set up the fights. Elements, if they want to be the one to engage, you have to save your ulti. You have the Rumble ulti as well. But it's going to be fairly difficult for you to reach the backline of Gambit. Where Gambit side, you can have flash body slam, you can have the Alistar engage, and then follow up with the Kennen. Kennen's obviously not the main engage, always follow. So I feel like Gambit in that case has a bit more options of starting the fight. But then Elements can kite super effectively. You have the slows from the Rumble, from Froggen in the mid lane, Tabzz speeding them up. So gonna be a lot of back and forth in this game. And it's
extended poke wars is what you're telling me?
Yeah, it can also just snowball those super heavily. Like when some comps kind of have the same goal in how they want to play out, at least in terms of poke. If one team starts falling behind and they just cannot return damage, that's it.
So Deficio, the last time these teams played was an eternity ago. It was week 1. Elements showed up and really showed up big. This was, of course, before Sean's had even joined the roster for Gambit. Had a lot more problems to deal with in the opening weeks. And much like Spring, got themselves a coach after a couple of weeks, started to increase their strategy, their picks and bans. Gambit have been steadily increasing, and now they're going to have the biggest challenge of all, playing with a substitute and still being close to playoffs. So we do see the upside down lanes, Moopz and GoSu doing the Krugs. We caught a glimpse of Tabzz and Nyph just a second ago, finishing off the Krug.
Really like the swap here from Elements to counter and get that 2v2 in the top lane. You have double range with their Thresh. Sivir does well into Corki as well. We've seen that matchup time and time again, blocking that damage with the spell shield. They gave full XP to Nyph though, so he's level 2 already. Betsy, he has no flash.
No, he's in so much trouble. Death Sentence connects, Ignite is down, Betsy's going down. Kill credit to Nyph.
So, I was sitting earlier today, looking at, you know, China, Korea. We see very, very little Varus in the mid lane for them. He's a champion, obviously, that lacks a lot of mobility. And one of the reasons is supports in China and Korea, they roam a lot more. They gank the early game, or they gank the mid lane a lot more, trying to shut down this Varus pick. Before we even get to talk about it, Nyph gets level 2 from the Grump, walks straight in, ganks Betsy, and takes himself, or gets himself the first blood. That's how you try and shut down the Varus in the mid lane. You can do it to save the Froggen though.
We'll find out whether or not anybody does. GoSu's presently defending Moopz. Substitution AD carry in the mid lane. We also caught, while Betsy was being ganked, his Ghost had already been used. I did not actually see when or why or how, but that is on cooldown. And teleports used from both Jwaow and Cabochard to get themselves to that bottom lane. Nyph does not follow up with a second Death Sentence. Dexter does have a pushing wave to punish if he so desires. Dexter's a jungler that's had such a great impact in the first 15 minutes. Constantly finding ways to help his team out.
Nice kill participation in the early game for junglers. It also helps, seeing as your team can never get any kills on their own. So whenever he does show up and get a kill, you get high numbers. But he's been great, honestly, for Elements in terms of early game. Jwaow.
He's going to ward.
I see you, bud.
You're caught between a mountain, a fat man, and a Yordle. Jwow's going to flash over the fat man and get himself out.
So Jwaow escapes. Problem for him, Flash is down. Diamond can always return, and you should never be surprised that Diamond is ganking that lane. GoSu Pepper, though, getting hooked in.
All right, we did talk about it. Dexter had the option. He's going to get headbutted away. GoSu's just saying, come on, man, I'm trying to farm. Lantern clicked. Defensive Flash. So Flash is traded. Jwaow for Elements side versus top lane GoSu.
Funny with both junglers. Almost all split long. Dexter put a lot of focus on ganking for his bottom lane. That's his first gank right here. Diamond is always camping for Cabochard. His first gank as well. So predictable pathing in that case. But they do manage to force flashes in both lanes. Should hurt Jwaow a little bit more in the bottom lane, especially because whenever he's trying to trade with the Kennen who's ranged, he has to use Flame Spitter and start pushing the wave, which means he's gonna overextend, and Diamond should just return down to this lane. He saw the ward being placed. You just time it being, okay, he placed the ward here, I know it's a trinket ward, I know when it's gonna run out. I'm just gonna walk down. Jwow's already pushed up in this wave here. Diamond could just go down and get such an easy kill.
Yeah, you can see Jwow's wave is starting to cost him some CS. 16 to 35 on the side of Cabochard. And it's at this point that Nyph has decided, hey, buddy, I'm going to come try help you out. I'm going to bring Dexter as well. So Lantern gank is a possibility if Diamond were to show. But Diamond is not on the bottom half of the map.
So I know that Elements are trying to save Jwaow, allow him to farm by sending backup. But AD carry-wise, you want the Corki to solo farm, not the Sivir. Wave is pushing back down, so they're reading the minion wave, saying Cabochard is going to overextend. Hooked in.
Cabochard is overextending. There is still a flash available. Flame Spitter is out. There comes Dexter. Dexter tunnels forward. He gets the knock-up. The Flame Spitter and the Furious Bite get the kill for Elements.
So instead of Diamond returning to the bottom lane, Elements said, okay, now the wave is pushing back towards Jwaow. Just play passive. We're going to set up an easy gank. Taps on the Civic and just try and farm in the top lane as well. GoSu Pepper not level 6 to set up an easy dive. So Elements, good little response to saying we're losing in that one-on-one. What can we do to help Jwaow at this point?
And it works, very importantly. Elements, proactive in the early game is not a sentence we've said particularly often.
No.
And Dexter held onto his flash and secured Cabos as well. So
and
very good play.
Support roaming from Nyph.
What is happening?
I mean, what's going on?
It feels like the team is learning, Deficio.
Gank in the mid lane, roams down bottom lane, reach the minion wave to help, hooks in Moopz as well. Will escape. But Nyph with some very good moves in the early game. Also why we see teams really like Sivir so much. I mean, you can just leave her on her own, she can wave clear, even in the early levels. It's a great play from Nyph, getting the early kills for Elements.
And Elements will need all the kills they can get. With the fact that Giants lost earlier today, with the fact that Roccat lost earlier today, Elements' hopes of making playoffs are getting better and better. For Elements, their destiny is a little bit in their own hands if they can pick up some victories. They've got themselves a 1,000 gold lead. Nyph is continually roaming, clearing out vision now. Has those Moby boots, has for a little while. May look for even more.
So I get he's getting the Moby boots because, again, he has been roaming for ganks. I do really prefer early Sidestone though, because I think the deep vision you can set up is so much more valuable. But obviously because he's been making these Moby boots work with the roam to the bottom lane, there's obviously a reason behind it for Nyph. I also really want to see what Froggen in this mid lane is going to build now that...
I'm glad you say that, Deficio, because we've not looked at mid lane at all.
It's this wave clearing.
It's a fantastic farm fest. You can see the practical side. But it's a farm fest that Froggen is winning. That's something that is happening a lot. Froggen always farms well and always has a big impact. Last week his Varus roams are good. Slightly more difficult to do with the Kog'Maw.
Sure.
But you can still roam and still pick up some poke kills with the amount of damage your side lanes have.
And that's the thing now with the new API items, it's still hit level 11, get the rank 2 ulti. Yeah, it's still Luden's Echo. The 10% movement speed is very, very important for you when it comes to continuing landing this ulti here. Moving around, obviously the early spike you get from it. And then I just wonder if we're going to see the Liandry's Rylai's build for him, because you don't really need death cap. You don't have that insane AP scalings. And the Liandry's death cap together, sorry, the Liandry's and Rylai's, when you proc that double damage from the passive of Liandry's with the slow, it's just insane amount of poke. And when you play poke, people have to remember it's not necessarily about the kills. It's about poking someone down, forcing them back into base, and then you can then start taking objectives. You don't really need to kill people necessarily.
Sending a message with the damage, Deficio. Elements continue to hold on to their lead. They are ahead in CS for their AD carry and mid laner. Slightly behind for Jwaw's Rumble. Because of that very early flash and the fact that Jwaow lost so much CS to the pushing wave. He does have an assist, of course, thanks to the gank. And there's been no indication that these lanes want to move or no early dragon pressure. So aspect is not something that they're looking for, but with the amount of poke, it's not really a primary concern.
Not at the moment, since both teams are happy saying we're gonna wait for our poke champions here to do some of the power spikes, but Diamond had opportunities to go back to the bottom lane. I know I keep talking about it, but like they forced that early flash. We know Rumble is gonna push the lane if he wants to trade with Cabochard. And it's not been a lane he's returned to before now. He's sitting on that pink ward, but Flash is ready again for Jwaow, and he's reading the situation, or he should be at least, expecting. Dexter showing himself mid lane.
Betsy's using Ghost, he's been knocked up, Chain of Corruption misses. Froggen's looking for those living artilleries. Prey Seeker connects, but Betsy gets out alive.
So Diamond was down bottom lane, he saw Dexter in the mid lane, meaning that Jwaow know, okay, my jungler has shown himself on the map, so he's now zero pressure, which means I have to be careful, because Diamond was not in mid to counter gank, so he can either be in top lane or bot lane. Now he's standing on the ward though.
Yeah, but so is Dexter.
What?
No, they're spotted. Dexter's not sure. Diamond doesn't.
And then you punish the red scuttler.
Here comes Nyph. That's okay. So it's just a flag. He's gonna at least get caught by one of those living artilleries before he decides to back. And of course, this is the point where you'll hear every caster say it's a stacking tier champion who's in a power top.
But it's not double tier, true.
Oh, not double tier.
Well, no Locket yet either.
No Locket. I think Locket would benefit Gambit. Actually, it would benefit both teams because of the magic damage. We'll get more serious in a moment as Elements are now onto the first dragon. With Gambit backing, they saw Cabo leave lane, they saw Betsy leave lane, and Elements pick up an uncontested dragon. Easy peasy.
I really like Elements' focus around this mid lane from the early roam. Nyph had to Dexter now ganking, forcing both summons from Betsy. It allows them to push him back to base and then take this dragon. Jwaow though, my friend, he's a level 6 cow. He's not afraid of that tower.
And Equalizer had been used despite the overheating Jwaow. Cabochard's coming in with a slicing maelstrom, and he gets the kill credit. Gambit secure a very easy kill. Should be able to get this tower at the cost of their own down bottom. So net game with the kill, still with Gambit.
Still with Gambit, so trading towers. Cabochard very importantly got the kill for them. He needs to be a big part of these team fights. We have to watch how he plays in this game. We talked about this early magic penetration, obviously on the Kennen. Himself, you still want that hourglass fairly early, and the fact that it's cheaper is another little benefit for the Kennen. You don't really build the hourglass for the AP, you build it for the active. So yeah, still a lot of things to like about it. We need to see how Cabochard can play the team fights. No hard engage or hard disengage from Elements. Just a whole lot of mobility because of the Sivir to dance around.
And that's important because of the fact that Cabochard's team is down in gold. Yes, they've secured a tower, which is great, but as it stands, Elements have been more proactive on the map, secured themselves a couple extra kills, and one of that is because of Nyph. He has picked up that sight stone, but we've not seen deep vision yet. Still some shallow warding. Nyph and Tabzz making their way up top. And Jwaw's the first one there as well.
And the deep vision is going to be the next move for Elements. You have Rek'Sai in the jungle, you have pressure in the mid lane, and now you support without roaming as a Thresh. You have Lantern to save someone. Deep vision allows you just to pre-plan so much better. If you see suddenly 2 or 3 guys from Gambit on top side, you know your top lane is about to get killed. You can either back away or you can set up a counter play to it because of deep vision already being set up. Dexter is going to find GoSu Pepper at least. So Elements trying to just shove the lanes. Moopz is freezing down the bottom lane, or at least farming it for now, so he's not going to be able to join. Very easy move.
Look at the respect from Elements. They backed away despite the minions. Respecting the engage potential from Gragas and Kennen, as well as the fact that Betsy had gone missing, so no tower secured.
Key move from Betsy, just moving out the lane. There's no vision, so Elements had to respect the fact he could be on his way to top lane. Froggen was back in base himself. It's a bit of a missed timing for Elements. You mid laner recalls when you set up a 4-man push top lane. That should never happen. You need to time it so your mid lane is putting pressure mid, and then you make that 4-man push because the AD carry was freezing in the bottom side for Gambit.
And Deficio, a little bit of wards placed all the way up to the red buff. It's not necessarily mega deep, but it's, I think, good enough if you want to push that top tower. And despite the fact that Froggen's back didn't necessarily coincide with the dive top, it did allow Froggen to pick up a first item, Rylai's.
No Luden's Echo then, so he's not going to be as impactful in terms of damage. But obviously Rylai's allows you to disengage more effective and land that first ulti, follow with the next and the next and the next. 40% slow, it is painful to play against. And Froggen, nobody's going to stop him from farming here because Gambit is losing the side lanes at the moment. Deep vision has been established, so they can spot it. There's the first slow.
Hit in the slow. Voidus connects as well. Hit in the slow. One more. That one's not going to connect. Caustic Spittle does not. Nor does the Living Artillery. The Ghost from Betsy keeps him alive. Right, Element's got the top tower and put a lot of damage on Inner, and Gambit did not respond with one of their own.
Remember what we talked about earlier? You don't have to kill people with poke, you just force them back to base. Betsy's now recalling. Froggen goes in, gets a few more hits on the mid tower. You slowly chip it away, and it's just always in advantage of Elements. Gets at least a minion damage on this time and denies Betsy even more farm.
Yeah, that advantage is growing to 2,000. Dexter, I think, stole that Raptor with a Prey Seeker. You can see the animation flying, but Deficio, pretty big CS advantage for Froggen. He's now backed and picked up those Sorcerer Shoes as well. So going to add some penetration to those Living Artillery. Gambit, they've grouped themselves mid, and it'll be on Tabzz to wave clear as best he can.
Great wave clear though from Elements. Froggen is on his way back. Look at this Sivir. Wave is gone. Gambit not able to set up anything, and now Elements just need to swap it around. Put Jwaow back on that top lane to catch the big wave with his teleport. Have Nyph and Dexter together. Walk into the bot side jungle of Gambit. Set up these wards while you have Froggen already pushing the wave with obviously the bot lane already being built up. That gives you vision of every lane. Makes it very safe for you to move in and get up the vision. And then you set up a second dragon. And you just play it slow and steady with your Elements at this point. No reason to take any risk. Don't have to go for any crazy tower dives. Just play the map.
Doing exactly that. Element's now going to donate this blue buff over to Froggen. One more shot. We'll get it in the end. Almost an awkward moment. Diamond is invading with the support of the rest of Gambit, so buff steal. Take a look at the middle though, because Betsy in a little bit of trouble. When the hunt comes out, Chain of the
Rylai's
will start spreading. Dexter's going to find Diamond and Moopz. So Elements are in the mid lane. Dexter's forced to tunnel to safety. He finds a second tunnel. Teleport comes in from Jwaow onto that tunnel. Equalizer, waiting for it. Connects! Death Sentence into Equalizer. Moopz is slowed by the box as well. GoSu's trying to peel them away. Tabzz, as well as Froggen, is going to be able to pick up a kill there onto Moopz. Now GoSu, he's been connected. The Death Sentence flashes over the wall, over to the Troll tunnel. Traded one back. Betsy's got himself a kill onto the retreating Dexter. 1 for 1. Gambit get out.
Looked very risky for Gambit at first. I quite like this setup. They knew Elements were going to take the blue buff, so they invaded and stole a red buff, placed a few wards to try and counter what the play Elements were about to make, see if they could create a pick. But Betsy just keeps taking so much damage. He's no flash.
One's dodged.
He used it before, by the way. We didn't see it because Froggen just kept landing. His ulti is onto him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be playing a mini-game. Once Froggen starts soloing people one-on-one with those Living Artilleries, we will be playing counter. But tower secured for Elements. So there's that poke and the damage you keep talking about, Deficio. Force Betsy away, secure the objective, get the numbers advantage for the next one. Elements got the first dragon. Doesn't look like they're going to start this yet. Looking for the crab. Oh, and with Cabochard recalling in the bottom lane, this should be super easy for Elements.
100% safe. Gambit tried to set up a counterplay to the grouping around this dragon from Elements. They did manage to create, they got one kill for it, traded 1 for 1 in the bot lane tower, so it was something. Still not able to contest the dragon. Elements 2-0 on that one, so they can start playing towards the fight. And I want to see Froggen get that Leandris now, seeing as he's getting the early Rylai's. You just see how annoying it is. Betsy can never charge up his own poke and try and trade it, because he's just taking so many ultis to the face, and once he gets hit by one, you know the second one he's going to connect as well with the slow, and he's just dancing around all the time. Here's the mid-game group, though, from Gambit.
Diamond's looking for Froggen. Actually, Gambit decides to back away. We saw Jwaow coming from the river. Equalizer is out. GoSu starts getting burned down by that Leandris that he's picked up. Betsy going to connect with the Chain of Corruption. That's going to spread Elements up. They picked up a kill onto Froggen, but the Captain Surprise will do a little more. Now Jwaw's forced to run away. Cabochard takes a chunk from Tabzz, and that's 2 members of Elements down at the cost of only GoSu Pepper. Gambit now looking for another tower.
Elements chased towards GoSu Pepper, had very few wards. If you look here at the side of the mid lane near the river, there was no ward to spot the flank. Gambit came in with Diamondprox and Cabochard. They got to the back line, one-shot Froggen. That's how Gambit wants to try and reach them every time. Poor warding from Elements, and then you cannot overextend like that. Because the only way you're going to die is if the flank happens from Gambit. You're going to have this insane poke machine in Froggen.
And with the fact that Gambit secured that mid-outer turret and got themselves the kills, the gold is now even. Elements getting a little undone for being a little over-eager in that particular team fight. Big items have been picked up in the last few minutes. Cabo's got his hands on Giant's belt, so most likely going to go towards Rylai's. Jwaow, of course, picked himself up Blasting Wand. Needlessly large for Froggen, so everybody's getting more powerful. Betsy with Lost Whisper and Brutalizer. That is a lot of armor penetration, considering there's very limited armor on the side of Elements. Those piercing arrows are going to hurt.
Yeah, if he gets to sit with Moopz and start landing that poke, problem is, again, Froggen is constantly returning damage, and he's going to slow you down, and he's probably going to out-DPS you when it comes to just landing ulti after ulti after ulti with the low cooldown for Froggen, and then the great wave clip element. So once again for Gambit, it's so much about pushing in lanes, and then try and sneak Diamond and Cabochard around Elements and get these flanks in here. Get down, Froggen. Again, you mentioned it. There's no hard disengage for Elements. There's no Janet to be like, boo, Cabochard, you're gone. No. He's going to get in there.
Is that a Janet sound effect?
That is boom. That's how it sounds, man.
I'd love to hear that on a monsoon. Boo!
Oh, you
knock
heard it.
Everyone away.
If we ever change Janna,
you'll be the first one?
I will be the one to voice her.
Deficio, like, boom! I think that is probably the worst idea you've ever had.
I think it's a great idea.
I can hear chuckles in the audience.
Because they know how smart it would be. And they would play Janna because of it.
Yeah. Woo! I like it. Everyone's getting on board with this idea. So guys, we did see Froggen's back. He's got himself that Seraph's, Archangels rather. It's 100 mana away from the Seraph's Embrace.
Man, why do we have a Janna in this game?
Yeah, it's so disappointing. You get everyone hyped up. But in the game, we've seen buffs secured. Elements have got the crab up top. We've seen Gambit pushing out the waves down bottom. And the vision around Baron is being contested. Both Gambit and Elements starting that little jiggle and dance.
Yeah, if you can push on the towers, start playing around the objectives in the river instead. So obviously, when you have these poke comps as well, you never want to be in a situation where you have to face check in towards the Baron because you just get collapsed on and you die so fast with these squishy targets.
Yeah, but you can't face check with poke because you're going to throw living
true.
artilleries and piercing arrows. There's a lot of tools. So, in my opinion, whenever you see poke v poke, I find it slow. I remember having a discussion with Shox about 2 weeks ago. She quite enjoys poke. I just find it frustrating because it feels like the team that gets out of position by making a mistake then loses to the poke. Because it's very difficult to force an advantage.
Yeah, the problem is if you take that one hit to the face and you get poked down, so you have to suddenly be careful and you like have to start backing away. You can't really return it. Then it very quickly can snowball in one way. But again, with Froggen being the only poke, but enough on the side of Elements, it's up to him to be the big carry in the late game. He gets even better scaling. Seraph has been changed, buffed a little bit here in terms of the damage, obviously late game. Tabzz right now is on a solo mission to split push, and right now Gambit is not responding before now.
Tower secured.
With a recall. Sloppy play.
They're still not recalling, and Element's going to be able to get back. So Cabochard is going to make it to clear the minion wave out while that's ongoing. Jwaow is shoving out the bottom lane. And there is some of that poke connecting onto Dexter.
And we have this situation where Gambit is like, okay, we wait for teleport, so we can set up a potential flank. We wait for Elements maybe to overextend. Elements is saying, you know what, guys, we got 2 dragons to 0. We got Froggen scaling. We don't really need to do a whole lot. We can just wait for 3rd dragon and wait for number 4. We wait for number 5. Again, there's no Janna in the game.
Righteous Glory picked up by Nyph. The engage power is there. Locket tier fully stacked for Froggen. How far is Betsy? He is 120 mana away Stop slacking, Betsy. Come on, we're going to race.
Gotta auto-attack the minions, man.
Deficio, we've said nothing for the last 4 minutes because Elements and Gambit are just clearing waves, Dragon is up in a few seconds' time.
All right.
And it's 2-0 in favor of Elements, but Gambit at position.
And when nothing happens, you start putting all your anger towards the poor wards. Or if you're Froggen, you do it against Betsy, because Betsy is always getting hit by the first one, then the second one. But yeah, when you have these situations where nothing really goes on, it's a fight for vision. It's not very exciting, because you get clear wards, then you place your another ward, and then you wait for teleport against Froggen.
Slicing Maelstrom, he's going to connect with Froggen. So does the body slam, but the Lantern, Nyph is going huge this game. The box is down, that's going to slow GoSu. Froggen is still alive. Nyph does not connect with the death sentence, but the living artillery does. Tabzz has come running in with On the Hunt, while Dexter secured the dragon. So Elements get the objective.
So Elements got the dragon, and because Nyph had already moved back to save Froggen, they get something. 3 dragons to 0. Not a Janna, it's a Thresh, but it's fine. It works. And now, Gambit is like, they only poked down one guy, so they can't really go for the Baron, and we can just reset the whole map again. Because now Teleport was used and Dragon was taken, so Elements once again have no reason to do anything. And Gambit...
Except they have teleport advantage.
They do.
So the potential to push and make a play is slightly with Elements.
I think we've seen enough of Elements this split. You know, they're going to say, oh, we can go for 5 dragons. Okay, that's the safe play. That's what we're aiming for. Let Froggen do all the work and then wait for another dragon to respawn. Gambit have to find a way to stop either that dragon or create something beforehand, but there's been so little focus on deep warding for both teams. We've just been standing in the river, killing each other's wards and being like, haha, I hit you with poke, I hit you with poke. And
there's more poke. Diamond gets caught by one, body slams away from the second. Diamond also picked up one of those Aegises, Deficio.
Smart play.
And we do see the Rylai's completed for Cabochard. So itemization synergy, that's going to work fantastically with slicing Maelstrom. We did see an Abyssal Scepter from Jwaow, so a slight variation on the Rumble builds that we see, but it makes a lot of sense considering his lane opponent.
Still though, Cabochard delaying and also Jwaow in this case delaying the hourglass is quite a lot. Obviously against poke you might not need the active that much, but for Cabochard, because he will be diving that back line and there's a lot of damage on the side of Elements, I think he could have delayed the Rylai's for the hourglass then get it after. Obviously for him he wants a bit more sticking potential in this fight. Let's see if it pays off, or if he just goes in, gets basically one-shotted.
Well, I guess against the Sivir and the Thresh, that slow will be very powerful.
Yeah, but it's all or nothing when you're Kennen. You pop your ulti, you try and one-shot a target. But you're not aiming to chase toward...
Isn't that the definition of Cabochard? Is his playstyle and character not all or nothing?
It is.
His Hecarim, his Fizz...
His haircut.
Everything. Dexter's going to avoid that piercing arrow from Gambit. They now have vision control around Baron. So, Elements now need to face check. They need to use that living artillery, try to figure out where their opponents are. Instead, Elements are going to put some pressure on the mid lane. Gambit did back away.
So, when you play poke and you want to set up Barons, it's not just like a one-step process. Not, oh, here's Baron, let's go Baron. No, it's like 4 or 5 steps. 1, you start pushing out your lanes, especially the mid lane is key, then the top lane. So you have the waves pushing down to the tier 2 towers, and you get the full vision. It makes it harder for him to walk in a face check. Then you clear wards, then you go back and push out waves, then you clear wards again, and you force it to face check. Gambit now has a situation where they have at least cleared all the vision. But you can see how Elements are always in the mid lane, so they're putting this pressure of saying, okay, we're just gonna push up mid, and if you don't commit fully to the Baron, and like have to just start walking back, we can land some poke, and we might get an opening. So we need teams to fully commit. Gambit could have walked into the jungle of Elements. We talked 2 minutes ago here, before this, because Elements cannot face check against a Kennen, against an Alistar, Gragas, whatever, and set up that full deep vision and start playing around it more effectively. And that allows you to push waves, because Froggen is the only guy you need to fear.
And of course, because Gambit did not get the deep vision, did not fully commit, they are 2,000 gold down. We see Gambit now grouping themselves towards this middle lane. And the poke from Froggen is doing a lot of work. Exceptional wave clear, so Elements maintain control of the game. Dragon will be up in 2 minutes, which is just after 30. And that will be the 4th of the match. Gambit, they've not contested previous Dragons, and they simply cannot afford to give up the 4th for free.
Only if they take a Baron for it. But even then, it's so risky because then the number 5 is going to be so important. So either Gambit has to start giving up the vision on the Baron and start moving it down to the bottom side of the map. You have a massive wave pushing as well on the bottom side, so that's an opening for you. Because you want to start setting up at least a minute in advance. If you want to fight again against Poke, you gotta have that vision so you know when you can engage onto them. You never want to start the Dragon and then dance around the Dragon and try and dance around the Poke as well from Froggen. And you're like, oh, I got hit by that one, now we gotta back away. I'm doing some weird dance classics, I'm not sure why.
Well, we'll have to take a look at the vision stats after this game because there's been a lot of wards killed, I feel. We'll only be able to investigate that once we get the advanced post-game statistics. Void Staff was collected for Froggen just a minute ago. The Mirror Mana was completed for Betsy as well. So this arms race is building more and more and more.
I'd really prefer the Leandris though first. The damage is insane with the Rylai's. And again, it's about just poking people down and forcing them back to base. That would have been a lot more effective for him now. Cabochard, he has TP again, remember guys, so he can make a play.
20 seconds before Dragon, he's going to get in, but he's only going to find Nyph. The support is now down, but it's Froggen that they need. Diamond forced to retreat. Living Artillery misses, but it's Tabzz that's going to get the kill secure. Now they're going to turn their attention to roast GoSu Pepper. He's down. Elements is going crazy. They found themselves 2 kills at the cost of 1, and they sound like an Ewok's village.
Gambit committed everything to kill poor Nyph because Froggen flashed away. That is not the guy you want. You need to be able to get Froggen down. It was only Cabochard going in at first. That means another Dragon for Elements. And another few minutes for Gambit before they have another teleport.
Cabochard, unfortunate to not find Froggen. He had flash. The angle just wasn't worth it. Here's their replay.
Yeah, so basically he goes in, Froggen flash, and now in this choke point here, Dexter and Nyph were standing in the front for Elements, and Gambit just not able to commit to it. Damage way too much, and then you don't get down Froggen. Gotta go for him, man. Gotta get the Dane, or he will take the game.
That rhyme was insane. Elements have extended their gold lead. They're 1 Dragon away from Aspect. And Jwaow is a couple hundred gold away from grabbing Zhonya's Hourglass. Going to be very important if a Dragon fight is to break out.
And we've just gone full ARAM the last like 15 minutes. We've just been stuck in the mid lane, shooting at each other. Silence has been more about just the minions. GoSu Pepper. You're misusing my sound.
Manages to get away. I think we're going to have to repurpose it for a Kog'Maw ultimate. Elements do not have control of the Scuttle Crab, but of course Froggen did get that flash from GoSu Pepper, so slightly less engage or disengage from the big cow. Gambit are just falling further and further behind. It's small losses, very small, but it is still in favor of Elements.
Yeah. You need Talisman or Righteous Glory on the side of Gambit to, again, enable engages without teleport from Cabochard. You need to find ways to get onto that back line of Elements. They have not done a good enough job. So we can wait for 5 dragons. I told you, by the way, Elements are happy saying, oh, we got a few dragons to 0. Let's just wait for another one and another one.
There's the I told you so from Deficio.
The strategy, man.
Well, it works out. The additional true damage for the Living Artillery is plus double the movement speed, plus double the wave clear. I mean, why not? Elements are slightly out of, actually very out of position. Gambit put themselves a gentle love tap, grab the tower, and Moopz will be able to dodge the to stay alive. But tower secured. Cabochard is going to get caught by death sentence. Gambit, they're committing for this. They're going to get another kill onto Nyph, but look at the equalizer, splitting Gambit up completely. A defensive explosive cast from Diamondprox, and GoSu will once again be the sacrificial cow. He's going to go back in for one headbutt pulverize, buy some time for the rest of Gambit. Betsy and GoSu alone, Living Artillery, after Living Artillery, after Living Artillery. Cabochard forced to flash away.
Oh!
Down! Rek'Sai gets the kill. Captain Surprise will not be in range. 1 for 2. Gambit win the fight.
Revenge for Betsy, but there's no objective to take for Gambit. They got the mid tower at first. No dragon alive. They're not healthy enough to start the Baron. So we're just going to return back to another 5 versus 5. And we saw how hard it is to take down Froggen. This guy, he's just going crazy. And his range is insane. Gambit is lacking ways of getting to him. TP is soon ready for Cabochard. Every time he goes up, he's been TPing in, trying to flank.
Not every time.
Every time.
It's been twice.
3 times.
Come on. It's 36 minutes in. You have more, like, if you were to use it every time.
Okay, not level 1.
Okay. The problem for Cabochard, I feel that his positioning's not been fantastic when using it. He managed to catch Froggen but not kill him once. And then the 2 other times it's been to catch out Nyph.
You have to commit your flash with him.
Yeah.
Problem was he had to use it because he had to survive the poke from Froggen beforehand. So that's going to be heavily in favor of Elements. If you cannot follow him, you're going to see like Froggen should change to Distortion, by the way. In this case, just to have less cooldown because it's all about catching him over and over. Get that reduced cooldown. Cabochard could honestly do the same, but nah. No, you want the home card. You want the home card.
Set your clocks, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute and 45 seconds until Dragon number 5 will be spawning. Elements very clearly want to secure that objective. And Gambit,
good call, Trevor.
I don't think they can afford to give it up. We've got a lot to work with here, Deficio.
For Dragon.
However,
do they want number 5?
Let's step back. Let's step back again. Remind everybody, because we've not done it yet. In-game. Elements, of course, playing for playoffs. That's the big picture here.
Yeah,
if
right
Elements win this game, they will equal the score with Gambit, as well as Giants, as well as Rocket at 7 and 9. And there's only 2 spots left for playoffs.
And the key thing to remember, when you look at the standings, one of the teams you just mentioned have to go down to promotion tournament as well. Right now it's Elements sitting in that spot. That's one you want to get out of. Now Gambit has set up 1 minute in advance, very few wards, but at least they got control of one of the bushes, so Elements knows, okay, they're standing here trying to land some poke. TP is ready for Cabochard, he needs to go back in base, he's doing it now, to have that Is there wards behind? There's one ward here where Nyph is walking, sorry. Might be the one he goes for.
Froggen and Jwaow are there. Home guard is powered up for Cabochard.
One in the lane too, right at Froggen.
Not been pulled yet. Cabochard's waiting 25 seconds until Dragon is up. The gold has been evened out. Gambit have done a good job of farming, and they got themselves a tower since the last time this fight has happened. Look at those wards. Look at those wards. Cabo could start channeling.
First one cleared out. There's only one left. It's going to disappear in just a few seconds. So he's running out of wards behind Elements. And that is a massive problem. Gambit,
and look at the side lanes.
Gambit, very few pink wards as well. So they're not really denying that much vision away from Elements. Engage coming.
So Equalizer is down. Betsy's in trouble. Chain of Corruption comes out. Diamond has flashed in. Dexter's jumped in as well. Cabochard's going to get the slicing maelstrom. Froggen is down. Nyph follows as well. That electrical surge is doing work. Cabochard will lose his life for this engage. He's still alive. Cabochard survives. 2 members of Elements are down, but they might be too low to get the Dragon.
Such a big mistake from Elements. You're not the one looking to try and chase Gambit. Froggen was standing in the front. Instantly get punished for it. Gambit get the TP in from the side. This time Cabochard didn't even need the flash to hit multiple members. They get the Dragon. So all the work Elements put into 4 dragons so far. The call that was made 25 minutes ago. Boys, 5 dragons. That's the goal. Don't do anything. 5 dragons. He's now gone. Or at least for 6 minutes. Delayed. Look at this here from Elements. They think because it's in a choke point, they can use the Rumble ulti and it's going to be a great setup. But look at Froggen in the front. Gambit, they know he's the guy. He's the main damage dealer. And then the TP coming from Cabochard. You don't need a flash now. 3 guys, 4 guys, even if you count in taps. And Gambit wins the fight. They get the perfect opening. Stop the dragons. Now they gotta go back to baiting around this Baron here, but they need deep vision. They need to sell for... sell your potions. With 38 minutes in, what is 150 HP going to do?
That potion saved Cabochard's life, I think.
I think it was a heal for...
It was
from
let's agree on that.
I bet you didn't even have a potion. I'm gonna go back and check. Yeah, he had a ward. Good guy, Cabochard.
Damn it.
Point is, you need pink wards. Because you need Elements to face check. And if you're just trading vision, you're never gonna get them to face check because they can see you starting that Baron. 4 sweepers though on the side of Gambit.
Deficio. That first dragon secured for Gambit. So vital because now it's actually worth something. 6% at 40 minutes into the game. Gonna help them out. GoSu's also picked up a banner of command. This could help because Gambit's side lanes have actually been pretty good. Whenever these objectives begin to be contested, there's almost always Gambit minions pushing towards Element's base. And one of those banner-empowered siege minions could do a lot of work.
So you just push down the mid lane. You have Tabzz as well in the top wave, the top lane taking that, and you just start the Baron instantly. But Elements are nearby. They're just gonna walk in.
That's a flash forward. Cabochard's found 3. Explosive Cask is gonna split Elements up. Dexter's gonna be the first victim here. No, he's not. He's tunneled away. Betsy a little late to the party, and the poke of Living Artillery is coming out. Diamond will be going down. It's Tabzz that kills Diamondprox. And all of a sudden, Gambit are now in trouble.
Oh!
Living Artillery.
Oh,
Living Artillery. Jwaow gets the kill. Deficio, I think you're wrong. The crowd has spoken, and the pew pew sound effect is for a Living Artillery. If you think that's definitely the case, tweet at LLD Sports at home. And there we go. Living Artillery. Following suit, Betsy forced away. Baron will be secured by Elements. After Gambit started the play, started the fight, but lose the objective.
But that's the thing. Elements had full vision around it. So walking in, they could see Gambit started. They saw the engage coming in, managed to disengage away at first, and then start landing the poke from Froggen. And just a very simple response. Look at the amount of blue wards around. It doesn't look like it was just Gambit setting up for the Baron, if you consider the fact that there is, what, 10 wards on the side of Elements already.
A lot of vision. Allows them to turn around the plate and then get the objective. So now, again, Elements are in the lead.
Froggen, why do you hate Leandris? It's such a good item. Why do you hate it?
You'll have to ask him in the post-game. If we manage to get that chance. For Elements, with their 4,000 gold lead, they're playing aggressive on the side of the map with no vision. Dexter's going in. He's going to smite that away from Diamond. And Lantern out to safety from Nyph. So Elements now putting their attention onto the bottom half of the map where there is an inner turret to take down.
And you start setting up with that dragon coming in 2 or 3 minutes. Worst case, if you're Elements, but you now have the ability to start sieging, it becomes a lot more difficult for these poke compositions to clear the waves when you got the Baron buff. And obviously, if Gambit is stuck under that tower trying to clear waves, it's a lot easier for Froggen to keep landing this damage. So Elements finally have a chance to really siege. As long as they have the wards on the flanks, and they know where the walls are behind them, so they can see if Cabochard is TPing in, because his TP is ready in just a few seconds. No, we talked about that TP like 10 times, but it really has been.
It's game-changing
the opening for Gambit, the only opening.
The scary thing is, one strong teleport from Cabochard can once again turn this game around. Elements on the hunt is down. They want the tower. Teleport's coming out from Cabochard behind. Tower's not secured yet. Diamond forced to defend. Chain of Corruption doesn't connect, but Cabochard finds Froggen. The Pure Machine is down. Nyph is going to escape, and Gambit defend their base.
Well, we talked about the teleport. We talked about the Kennen, what he can do with the flanks. Elements didn't manage to see what was behind them in terms of the wards. Might just get a death cab as well now for Cabochard. Honestly, probably realizing he's doing his job just by going in and trying to blow up one target. So he doesn't want the hourglass very clear. He just want to try and stack as much AP as possible for himself. It's been working okay, 6-1. It is the Cabochard show in many ways, but
it normally is with Gambit.
He needs the rest of the team though to help. Jwaow might be caught out.
He has been, but he may be able to turn the tide. Starts to overheat. Going to flash into GoSu Pepper, who gets the pulverize in the head. But Jwaw's trying to make the best of a bad situation and look for Moopz. I do not believe he will find him. Goes Golden. Moopz walks into the Flame Spitter as Cabochard has arrived. Secures the kill with the Electrical Surge. So Jwaw's down for over a minute. Froggen has only just respawned from the previous team fight. Gambit have a little bit of time, may be able to get the dragon if they rush it.
They might have to just dive onto Froggen. He has an insane amount of wave clear. It's only 2 guys from Elements on the bottom side. Also need to respect the fact that Tabzz is pushing top lane, so they gotta react fast. Either you go all in for this tower and try and get the 2 kills, or you just recall and you send at least 1 guy back to stop this one, and then you take the dragon instead.
So that seems to be the option. It is number 2, Deficio. Cabochard is up top. He has to deal with Dexter in the middle lane. He has to deal with Tabzz in the top lane. The rest of Gambit are on the dragon. Dexter secured a tower already. Dragon number 2 picked up for Gambit. Cabochard's defended top, at least for a moment. May need to use that slicing maelstrom. If anything further, look, here comes GoSu as well. Have elements stuck around. Tabzz still has on the hunt. Looks like Dexter's going to find the support of the rest of elements. GoSu is way out of dodge, despite the fact that he's found Dexter, forced to use Unbreakable Will. He'll be able to make it out. So, cooldown blown, 2 exposed inhibitors.
And just such a problem for Gambit that they have to trade a dragon for some of the inner turrets because, again, they know elements can get number 5. So once they got the first kill on Jwaow, he basically took such a long time dying and forced moves really low. Gambit should honestly just have instantly said, okay, we just take that dragon and go back to base. They started trying to push, realized they couldn't against Froggen, and then they were stuck in this bad situation where there was no real great call to make. And in the end, 2 towers for elements. But once again, you stop the 5 dragons. I get the ban off command from GoSu Pepper to stop some of the wave clear. However, I feel like Righteous Glory is still the best item for you to get at this point, or the talisman, because if you cannot get the right team fight and get onto the backline of elements, you're never really going to get to use that ban off command. Every time Gambit tries to group and poke, Froggen returns twice the damage back to the carries of Gambit, and they have to just back away and wait for team fight. So build for that. Don't build for the push right now.
Very quickly, Froggen has just finished his death cap, currently sitting on 767 ability power. Each living artillery is hitting for around 400 damage and a 0.8 second cooldown.
Could have been more with Leandris.
Could have been more with Leandris. Maybe it's his final item, Deficio. Elements have grouped up in this middle lane. Again, there's no tower. It was secured, and Betsy's being focused. 1, 2. Third one gets dodged. Betsy always dodges the third one.
Yeah, Froggen has enough damage now. He needs just 1 defensive item because he's the target every time. Nobody's helping. GoSu Pepper is behind. Cabochard dancing around the front though.
No tower. Oh! The flash for flash! GoSu doesn't get the pulverize. Ignite is now burning. Betsy did not fire Chain of Corruption. GoSu, insta Unbreakable Will.
Just react instant. Just flash ult him and get him with the Q and he would die.
Did not do that, and it means Froggen gets away. Dexter and Elements will secure the blue buff. That was picked up by Froggen. Baron is up in 35 seconds. Inhibitors still standing. And the poke war continues.
Man, Betsy could have pulled the trigger there. Froggen has used everything. He was caught out of position. Baron is respawning, guys. No team has been able to really set up proper vision around it and then get a perfect Baron. Taking down something we heard in the feature earlier today. Teams were talking about how you need to deny all division first and then you can start taking the Baron. Never risk the 50-50 smite.
Deficio.
Tell me, Trevor.
Being chunked down.
Again.
See? Third one misses. Fourth one misses. Fifth one misses. Sixth one misses. I love this crowd. You guys are awesome. Elements trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Take a look down the bottom. Froggen's gone! Cabochard teleported in. We didn't even see it. Observers were looking for the pew-pew. And it's Froggen that's down. Gambit's banner-empowered minions have taken a tower. And Baron is up. And Froggen's down for a minute.
Okay, so that's where it's very smart for GoSu Pepper. Because Elements have been stuck as a team for the last 40 minutes. Ban of Command is going to start their split push on its own. And it's gotten them a tower, forcing Jwaow to take it. But the important thing is, Froggen had no summoners. He used them in that last fight where he was caught out. And of course the teleport, guys. I mean, come on, Cabochard. Then boom. Kill. One-shot him.
Boom. Froggen goes down. Gambit get a tower. That is their 5th of the game. And their first Baron. The timer has started for the next dragon. Deficio, the game that's had the most dragons in summer has been 7. The next one will be the 7th. We might be equaling that record.
Close to at least. Unless Gambit decides we want to finish right now. Froggen still there for 15 seconds. Now you can use your amazing poke because Froggen is not there. This tower should be very easy to take down.
Especially with that banner-empowered Baron minion.
But man, Froggen, the fact he has no defensive item at this point means that every time he gets locked down by Cabochard, he just gets one-shot complete. There's no outlaws, anything to help him. And the fact he has a death cap, which is just so unnecessary.
And let's also remind everybody, Gambit are playing with a substitute. Gambit now have Baron, they have super minions to play with in the middle lane. And they are keeping themselves in a great position. We said Gambit play around Cabochard. It is about Cabochard. Cabochard, 8-1-1 with 370 CS. And has found Froggen. When he's found Froggen, Gambit's hopes have been revitalized.
Also just with Elements, as a team, again and again, it's been a talking point all split long, are just not great at being the proactive team. They're so weak when it comes to pushing your advantage. And even with Gambit, giving them 4 dragons, not setting up the Baron, giving a Baron as well over to Elements, it's not been enough because every time Elements push up, they don't respect the potential flank coming, and that just bites them in the behind. And now Dexter
gonna get knocked backwards. Chain of Corruption will give Betsy the kill. Gambit, they say screw the dragon, we can get more. Move their ways down to the bottom. They've got to deal with that poke from Froggen. There we go, Living Artillery's connecting. They're in sync now, actually. Gambit will get their 7th tower of the game. 50 minutes has gone by. Death sentence on Diamond, but that's not the target you're looking for. Gambit have super minions in 2 lanes. And the longest, oh, it would be Elements. The longest game of the split was 55 minutes, and it was SK versus Elements. We're 4.5 minutes away from that record.
Elements won that game, by the way. Late game call, 55 minutes in. Got the Baron, won the team fight because Freddy TP'd in with the Shen. Didn't finish off the Nexus, if people remember that game. That should not be the case, though, for Gambit. As we have seen, every time we have that 5-on-5 team fight with the proper TP and engage, they are winning it. Even though it's only 1 or 2 kills at a time. I don't think we've seen multiple people dying on the side of Elements in these fights. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I think we've seen 2.
It's been like 51-minute long game.
We've seen 2 at most. I can't remember a fight where Nyph plus Froggen or Nyph plus Dexter went down. But Gambit's Baron buff has now timed out.
Got the Righteous Glory as well for GoSu Pepper now. So
wanted that a little while ago, but better late than never. And I believe Void Staff picked up for Cabochard. So no Hourglass up top, no Leandries in the mid for Froggen.
No Hourglass either for Froggen.
Gambit doing the right thing, sieging top lane, letting the supers do the work elsewhere. So how good can Froggen wave clear? Or how good is Froggen's wave clear? That would be the correct answer.
He just has to be so careful because Gambit can try and just instantly dive him. You have...
Somebody ask Crepo what this guy's name is. But Gambit gonna secure their 8th tower of the game. Almost uncontested. Froggen, your poke is good, but it is not that good. Take that back. Instantly clears the way for the Voidoos.
Still, he's taking a bit of damage every time, and someone has to go back and clear the super minion soon. Jwaow's in the middle, and Gambit continue the siege. You have lifesteal. Just even it out between Moopz and Betsy. They're doing it right here. Notice how nobody else is hitting the minions. It's high-level strategy. Gets to lifesteal. And you go back. Super minions is down in the bottom here at the Nexus turret. Wait for someone to move down and take it, and then maybe even just look for a dive. Or are we gonna wait for another Baron?
Super minions pushing into the base. Baron, Banner empowered minion, gonna help secure the Nexus turret. Elements have peeled away, actually gonna leave their own minions to push back. Elements still trying to defend. And it's just this poke be poke. It doesn't look like anybody wants to tower dive Deficio. Although, Diamond is in the base.
Playing it safe for now, because you got the super minions anyway. Out of Gambit, still behind in goal. Been probably the entire game long, honestly.
Yeah, evened it up a little bit, but every time they do, Elements seem to make a play that gets them ahead. It's going to be much more difficult now. Look, Cabochard's pushing the wave, Diamond's pushing the wave. The rest of Gambit sieging top.
Just waiting for that one opening. Problem is, Elements are not going to move away from this tower. And now, Jwaow is still positioned down here, Froggen with the wave clear. Tabzz with the wave clear. We might just wait for this Baron here. Gambit will go back and set up, hopefully, vision around it and just take that team fight where Elements is walking blindly in.
big to note that Nyph did use that banner of command, Righteous Glory, minute and a half before it'll be available again. 5:13, remember. Some of the changes reverted. Inhibitor spawned middle. Bottom inhibitor will be spawning soon. Living artilleries are connecting. Forces a flash from Betsy.
Okay.
Baron's up in a minute, as is the longest game of the summer split record. We're gonna break it.
Betsy just live stream back again. Froggen still no distortion for himself. We talked about it earlier, how important it can be because of these summoners here, because he is the target every single time. So he's just going all in offensive. And because Betsy got poked down, Gambit is saying, you know what, we're not gonna risk it. And Dexter's instantly, okay, set up a bit of vision. Might be caught out though. Dexter's in a little bit of trouble. Actually, Dexter's in a whole lot of trouble. He's going to try and get away from the explosive cast. Moopz, flashes, Valks in aggressively. Cabochard will find him. It's going to be a minute-long death timer. Gambit now have a man advantage, and they should be able to secure a Baron unless it gets stolen away. Well, you still got super minions coming in the bottom lane. The jungler is dead. Nothing is going to stop you from taking this Baron. And then the wave dip from Froggen suddenly isn't that effective. And that's what you need, 55 minutes. New record, longest game of the summer split. As Gambit will secure the 3rd Baron of the game. If we are lucky enough to see one more dragon, it will also be the most dragons of any game in the summer split. We can only hope. Breaking records today, man. I'm gonna go back to a little thing I mentioned earlier about how a few weeks ago, Shox and I talked about poke. This is why I find poke interesting. Because properly played poke is not the most exciting. Well, it's not hard engage. It's not, but at the same time, properly played poke can push that advantage you get in the mid game very often and snowball it, and we don't go 55 minutes. Even though it's poke versus poke, I get what you're saying. Gambit are so close to reclaiming the gold lead. It'll be a long time since they've had that. Inhibitor secured in the middle lane. It's been long enough that Dexter has respawned. The problem for Elements, waves seem to be pushing away from them. For Gambit, rather, in the top and bottom lane. So Gambit will be happy to get Baron, plus an inhibitor, and they want the record. They are going for Dragon number 8. Get it. Moopz, the substitute alone. Even building more of my Mortius here, you know? Wasn't it a Corki that also built more of my Mortius last time we saw it? We'll have to verify that. No, we saw the split, I think. We did. We'll double check that in a minute. Against heavy AP poke. 80 minutes, the dream. As Dragon number 8 is secured. The next one is Aspect. Elements get 4 dragons on the bounce. Only for Gambit to say, no. We can play that game too. And they secure 4 of their own. Again, Elements made that call an hour ago. We're gonna go 5 dragons. When they lost number 5, they're like, okay, what's next? And nobody really seemed to have a plan there from Elements, and Gambit been able to get all the dragons, been able to win some of the fights. Deficio, high five. Look at... It was Audrey that built more of my Mortius on Corki. Knew I'd seen it somewhere. GoSu Pepper's looking for something. Teleport! Cabochard's found Tabzz and Jwaow. Electrical Surge is up. Cabochard also bought an Hourglass. Diamond! You threw the explosive cask too early! Betsy's found a kill on Froggen before Nyph takes him down. That's a double kill for Nyph. Death sentence is sprung wide. Moopz, you are going to get called into question now. 3 versus 4, but the poke machines are down. Elements are looking for an inhibitor, but will they go for more? They didn't get Froggen this time around. It was Tabzz that Cabochard managed to deal all his damage to, and that is not the guy you wanted to take down early. Froggen did die in the very end, but Elements dealt enough damage. They're backing away though. You're 4 members right here versus 3. I guess you have no minions, but look at this big wave coming. Just grab that wave. Deficio. And get back in towards that Nexus. You're 4 guys versus 3. 18 minutes, the dream. Dexter, jungler on jungler. He manages to smite Diamond and then run away. Gonna grab that minion wave up top. 4 versus 3 for another 20 seconds. Elements decide to just escort the minion line into the base and then say, sorry, buddies, your problem now. Elements will not win this game before they get dragon number 5. That is the goal for Elements. They give you 4 dragons, they give you false hope. Like, that's our dragon, get number 5. Bottom lane though, ban off command minion. They'll do work for GoSu Pepper. I gotta give him credit for that one. He's been setting up some good spray pushes.
Is it possible to see how much gold that thing is in? Oh, that would have been so cool. Wonder how much gold he's earned from those minions. Probably a lot. I'm gonna say so.
Well, you got a talisman now as well, so...
Both the items you wanted. 60 minutes the dream. 8 dragons, 3 barons, countless inhibitors.
How are we 1 hour into the game and a 450 mid laner still doesn't have 6 items? That doesn't add up in my book.
Are you calling Froggen out?
No, no, no. I'm just saying that seems weird. I didn't see if he sold any items or anything. I mean, obviously he has the same 4 core items as before. He's been earning 19,000 gold so far. He must be very, very close then to getting that hourglass in the end. Just if you consider we've been here for an hour, so much farm. 2 kills, 8 assists, 7 towers. Everyone else, if you look at the carries, at least, have been maxing out. So I'm not sure if I missed something here.
This game will live on forever as Kog'Maw's ultimate has a new sound effect. It has been made so. Diamond and GoSu waiting in the bush, waiting to find a target. Dragon's not up yet, no one's gonna leave. Oh, I've been proven wrong. Elements, they're moving through the lane. Diamond looking, waiting for an opportunity. Not gonna find it. Deficio, Cabochard's teleport is about 1/3 of the way off cooldown. Will Diamond cancel his recall? No, it doesn't look like it. Super Minions pushing. Super Minions getting very close to the top half of the base, so Gambit cannot afford to be outside of the base. And it's Cabochard that's been appointed to deal with it.
They still also can't afford to just sit in the base, because if Elements can walk up and see all 5 members in front of them, the flank potential, no Frank here, flank potential is then not there for Gambit and then needed. Froggen though is still a squishy target, no hourglass yet for him. He's gonna be the...
No hourglass, 61 minutes in. Deficio, Elements are pushing the bottom lane.
We're gonna have that big 5-on-5 team fight, but first...
Have you heard about Baron?
I do.
What is the word of Baron?
Word of Baron is we need... How many of this game?
This will be the 4th. 4? This will be the 4th.
Okay, and someone needs to get 5 dragon as well, by the way. We're not stopping before someone has 5 dragon. That's how it is.
The best thing that would happen would be a team to get 5 dragons and Baron, then lose the game on a bad team fight.
Again, this is like back, you know, in school when you were young. And if
a long time for me.
I'm sure, fair enough. If there were unfair teams, you know, it was in one team's advantage, they got a great start, but then you had to even it out because all the kids had to be happy. So with the 4 dragons first for Elements, they said, you know what? Gambit gets 4 as well, but now it gets serious. Shoot the rocket in, shoot the rocket in.
Death sentence connect, Diamond's down! Diamond's down! Elements, they are patient enough to find the kill. Cabochard is looking for an engage. Where is he? Teleport's not available. GoSu Pepper's being roasted, and he gets burned alive. Elements have a 5 versus 3, but they have all of the damage from Gambit to deal with.
Well, how is that damage gonna take down Elements? They got the wave pushing in, they got super minions. Cabochard, what can you do now?
It's the final countdown, Deficio. Elements are onto another inhibitor. Gambit's engage tools from GoSu and from Diamond are not there, but Cabochard, he's got a flash and a slicing maelstrom. He's going to throw down the hourglass, as does Jwaow. Cabochard will go down. It's Nyph that gets the kill. 4, 3, and 7. Betsy is alone. Betsy has to defend. A Nexus turret is down, and at 63 minutes, Elements are taking down the Nexus turret. Elements are taking down the Nexus, and Elements are keeping their playoff dreams alive, but napping.
Nobody got 5 dragons. We waited so long and nobody got 5 dragons.
Elements very happy with the win. I sincerely hope PTL does a mic check on those sound effects, guys, because these guys are going to have no idea what you were doing. For 45 minutes, they thought a bunch of Ewoks invaded the studio. And you could see the distraught faces on Gambit. Gambit and Elements now share the same score. 7 wins, 9 losses. 7 and 10, sorry, 7 and 10.
7 and 10, of course. Elements playing SK tomorrow. Gambit facing H2K. Lost today to Origin. But, I mean, almost, what a simple game almost. We were waiting for the same thing every time. Oh, it's Dragon spawning? Okay, now we can get a fight. Oh, it's TP ready for Cabochard? Okay, now we can get a fight. Over and over and over. And in the end, the trap from Elements.
The trap card was played. Gambit fell prey. The one thing I do want to say is, while you say it was a simple game, I have a small clip that I'd like to show at least everybody in the house of how I felt this game played out. So if we can pull that replay up really quickly, and everybody in house, if you can just help me out here. Roll the clip for me, because...
Okay.
Wait, hold up. There we go. Sorry, I'm not done yet. Could you guys help me out just a little more? I promise I'm gonna end it now. Okay, we can kill that. But I think you guys were incredible, and thank you to everybody at home for watching that. Elements, you can feel how important that game was. They played so risk-averse.
Are you crying?
It took the game's over. It took 64 minutes to win the game. But Elements' playoff hopes are still alive.
And that's the important thing.
Yes.
I mean, you go back and you look at this game here, if you are Element and you're being like, oh, we made some very clear mistakes here and there, but we won the game. That's the important thing right now.
Yes.
Once you get to playoff, however, obviously you got to be able to fix some of these problems you have the next few weeks before playoff would start, if you manage to make it in. But this is the first step.
We've all been waiting 9 weeks for some of those problems to get fixed. We're going to head over to Pulse to ask Nyph